Welcome to Nature's Neighbor. I'm your host, Melanie Blankenship, joined with my co-host, there's a finger, Josh Carmichael. Happy Monday, 420.
Yay. Oh, yay.
I was going to bring a cannabis plant, and I didn't bring that. I brought something else.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But, it is 420.
Surprise.
And I'm a farmer. I love growing everything.
I love plants.
There's nothing that I like life. I like the
Get an eye on life.
The seed of life. I like the growth of life, and
The
I like
circle of life.
and I like it to carry on, and I understand the purpose of harvesting it and turning what I grew into something of value.
Yeah.
And cherishing it through food or resource of any, whatever. So to understand how to grow cannabis is kind of that, specialty. It used to be, all of us in the closet. Now it's more of a
culture. Yeah.
Now it's more of a common, everybody goes.
It's just a medicine or herb you should take in your diet.
Yeah, they talk about going to their dispensaries. I just go in my backyard. It's like, it's still that same thing, or yes, I can grow 6 plants. Legal in the state of California. Per person, so I can grow 6 plants. And I'll be honest with you, when you're a good grower, 6 plants is a lot.
Yeah.
They get
big.
My biggest struggles is making sure that my females stay females and don't hermaphrodite or, or get too close to the flowering seeded ones, and males. That's my struggle. Even in my larger area of growing, it's still, changing. I'm watching my cannabis do different things than it normally does. I like growing sativa strains. So I think sativas will tend to be a little bit on the different characteristics of environment. The environment really plays a factor in it. But it's funny because cannabis is one of those things. It's like that plant is so giving. There's nothing you can really do wrong when growing it, right?
Well, they call it weed for a reason because it is
just a plant that's
such
misplaced.
easy to grow.
Yep.
Yeah, from the Himalayas, down all through the rest of the world.
Yeah, all along the equator.
Yeah.
There's people don't realize how worldly that one plant is. There's the African strains, the Amazon strains, the Asian strains. There's so many different varieties.
Just the whole hemp
but
side.
People don't realize that that's plants, though, in general. That's species in general.
Yeah.
People don't realize that
we all have cousins around the world.
Sage. We can talk about white sage, spiritual burning, Salvia apiana, right? That is a California native sage. But yet, what about Salvia officinalis? Salvia officinalis is a European.
Mediterranean,
Yeah, it's a European. It's what is more commonly used in recipes.
Sage,
People ask me all the time if white sage is edible. And I'm like, well, define edible, right? Is it
it's great in tea.
Is it something that you're choosing to eat? I will be honest, it's not one that I tend to go to want to call it, the kitchen staple.
Yeah.
But it's one that I use for
ceremony and tea and those things are great. Yeah.
Decoration to have that smell in the house kind of thing. It's a beautiful plant.
Sacred.
But also, medicinally, sage, all salvias are blood cleansers. So it's funny because in European times, why did they put the sage into their recipes? Right? Back in the day, we had to use herbs to protect ourselves from different viruses and bacteria and how to clean, right? Why did we use cloves and pork? Pork is really hard to digest.
Yeah.
Cloves stimulate digestion. It gets digestion fluids going. So understanding what these herbs or plants do and what their purpose is actually really shows the history or the real meaning or the real purpose of growth behind those plants and the use, right?
Yeah. And all the different parts of each plant do different things,
the stalk versus the flower.
Yeah, flowers,
the leaf
berries,
versus the root. People don't realize that, like comfrey root versus comfrey leaf carry completely different herbal properties to them. Make a paste or a poultice with the leaf, but you want a serious punch and like some major medicine, take the root and make a paste or a poultice or soak it and make a tea, not to necessarily drink, but to use as in a, a Bach remedy or a, a topical remedy kind of thing. Look at all this, what we're talking about. I was going to talk about cannabis because it is 420, right? And understanding, I don't know where 420 came from in the cannabis world. Do you? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember anymore. I thought it was maybe a police code or it was all these things. It's like tea time in England, so
right?
maybe it has something to do with that.
Yeah. I didn't indulge. I haven't indulged in any kind of activities in a long time, but
You don't get high on your own supply.
No, I don't. I actually make tinctures and topicals.
Yeah, one of my aunties makes a really great topical for just all those aches and pains of the body.
Well, that's
really
because of the dumb things I do to myself. Or Clint. Clint's hurting. His knee's hurting right now. And I laugh because I think he's bathed in tincture right now because his knee hurts. And so it's...
that happens.
He can't take an ibuprofen. Ibuprofen doesn't work. And so either mine or my good friends of her... topical with cannabis in it helps alleviate pain. So it takes the pressure and the swelling out, helps the flow. Yeah. And that's what cannabis does. But with it being 420, I wanted to also talk about how things have changed, right? Like back in the day when we were all closet growers, and it wasn't legal, right?
Yeah.
And to define what is legal now.
That was like halfway through our life, at least.
Most of our lives, right? We always knew what family were growing cannabis. Yeah. We always had a little bit, and it wasn't that we were in the industry of illegally selling it. We were in the industry of using it for our own use, and it wasn't, let's, have all the neighborhood kids over and get stoned.
Yeah.
It was, yes, we had a couple plants. Whoa, we were one of those. But it was more about medicine than it was anything else.
I think this things, the way they get treated, is what makes people use them certain ways. So if it was just a herb we should take in our diet, it would be, in the pharmacies, it'd be in the right place like it is now. When it was treated like a drug or Schedule I drug, it was something that they really hated against. And they really hated against it because of all those properties, all those uses, like we said, with hemp being number one, something you could pay your taxes with up until the turn of the century. And then, DuPont chemical and, some of the reefer madness coming from the Congress.
Randolph Hearst.
Yeah, people that didn't want paper or wanted, wood pulp in instead of hemp. Mm-hmm. All these reasons, I think they made up a lot about, this plant. And so when I grew up, it was like that, like 18, I'm reading High Times in the newsstand saying, this is unfair. Like, what are they doing? This is just a plant. Mm-hmm. And they're putting people in jail for life and all these things. And so...
But it's always the bad apple, right? There's the bad apple that we all know that hurts the industry, but there's so many other really good things that go on with the plant.
Yeah.
And again, it's you can see how media or marketing changes things, right? It was so crazy to me when all the growers that I was talking to, when they started hearing that they're going to make cannabis legal. And it was all a political push, right? It was all about, vote for me. We're going to make cannabis legal. And it's like, no, guys, wait, let's step back a minute.
Just not federally.
What are they going to do? They're going to tax you and they're going to regulate it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So are you ready for the, oh, no, they won't. They're going to make it legal. I'm like, no, you don't understand business law or... what
it's just something they weren't making money off of yet.
No, and so
the black market was getting everything.
And now to understand what these poor cannabis growers, and I say poor, poor cannabis growers are now having to pay for to grow. Do we have more growers in cannabis? No.
There was a boom and a bust, essentially.
Do we have more safe supply available? I've been to dispensaries.
it's more measured, I would say.
I wouldn't. There's a lot of product I wouldn't indulge
Well, there's people using more and ingesting more than maybe they normally would, and taking it in and
Josh, we grew up in the 80s and the 90s. No, there is not.
You could take a lot of edible.
He's got a question. Look at the look on his face.
I kind of want to challenge the whole taxing it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to tax it. You're trying to, I can see where it's going. Hey, they're just going to try to make money off of us. A lot of the conversations I had with people is, why don't they just make it legal so they can tax it and make money? So
that's what they did.
And that's what they did.
Yeah. Which was what we were talking about before it got legal. It was like, because they wanted it legalized, and like, they can make money off it. Why not? Like, but then I guess it hit them too hard. Like, wow, now it's really taxed.
I love where this conversation is going because this is literally the whole layout of
damned if you do,
damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. But the thing about it is how come voters and or people that support certain things always think make it legal, just like what you said, Miguel, make it legal so that they can tax it. But how come everybody thinks that taxing it refers to everybody else but themselves? Why do people think when we pass a bill or a measure or that kind of thing
They're
that
going to
it's
want to pay taxes and
that
when it
yeah
comes
that
around?
it's not going to be them paying for it, right? Why do they think it's always somebody else paying for it?
Or they think it won't be as much, but they always find ways to keep adding to it.
Because I'm going to go somewhere with this conversation because of what my life has been involved in lately, right? So, years ago, I've always been a poultry farmer. I've always had poultry in my life. I mean, my mom has pictures of me as a child walking around with a goose that had a diaper on it, okay? That, Sammy the goose that I found at my grandma's house, and I brought it home, and Sammy the goose was my best friend, right?
Wow.
So I was little. I think it was 3, 4 when I had this goose.
That's what's going on with you.
Oh, I've always been that. Well, then I also had a pet bullfrog too. So I'm, and they're always.
Jeremiah?
Yeah. No. Toady.
Oh.
I was 3.
Why not?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
didn't know the song yet.
And I enjoyed putting him in his bowl of water and burp, kind of thing. So, and he went everywhere with me. And that thing lived forever, except for the time when I
We
let
always
him.
got the little tree frogs.
I wasn't supposed to take him out of his container in the car, and he did. And my dad almost wrecked his car because a frog was bouncing
Jumping
off
on
the
him.
walls, inside the car. So, that is my life, okay? And it hasn't changed. I might
We
be
know.
in my 50s, nothing's changed, okay? I am that person that is all about life and the value of life and understanding the circle of life as well. So poultry, I can grow plants, I can grow orchards, but what do I find in pure enjoyment is raising poultry. I mean, if you came and drove up in my driveway right now, I have these really cute little Banty chickens. I have like more roosters than I do hens. And I found that Banties are a smaller size chicken, okay?
Yeah.
For the people that don't know. That they've actually go into my rose garden and my herb garden and they aerate better and they don't destroy my plants. They're littler.
They can't reach
They
as
can't
much,
reach
yeah.
and they don't destroy like my bigger chickens do, right? So, my husband would said, it would be nice if these animals could be in a pen, and I'm like, no, it's free range.
Yeah.
It's the law. We
Well, they
have
wanna
to
do work, too.
Right? So, okay, fast forward to here. We all have to have legally, we have to have an egg handler's permit. And we have to have, if we're going to sell meat, chicken, or eggs, or pork, and pork is in it too. If we're going to sell any of that, we have to be Prop 12 compliant, which is a registry, a fee collection, and an inspection, and a quarterly filing of what we sell. Okay? That's what Prop 12 is. And it doesn't matter at my size, smaller, backyard, large industrial, it's a one size fits all. Okay? So, understanding that is, again, when Prop 12 was a measure on the ballot, people voted for it, right? People wanted free range chickens, and it was crazy to me. I'm the one that voted against it because I read the measure and I saw what was going on. It is a fee
There's a lot of fine
collecting
print for sure.
and a paper pushing. We had already had the egg handler's permit, right? We already had that. So why do we need another inspector? If that inspector was doing their job and doing an egg handler's permit, instead of just collecting the fees, going out and seeing how these people are farming, why did we need something else? But
another layer of regulation.
The consumer and the voters voted for it. So now we have Prop 12. But again, when you go out in this community and you see, on Facebook Market or Facebook or anywhere, and you see eggs for sale, and you simply ask them, are you Prop 12 compliant? No. What is
We're
that?
not going to know what that means.
I'm like,
That
do
usually
you have an egg handler's permit? No, I don't have that. What's that? I'm like, okay, so you realize. I'm like, okay, you realize when you take $1 in the state of California, you're considered a business. So therefore, you might make $100, but you spent $5,000 on feed, but you still made $100. You still have to claim that $100, well, $500 technically, to the state of California. You're in business. And people don't understand that at all, right? They voted for it, but again, it's still crazy to me how many people voted for it, but did not think that fee or that measure or that tax would apply to them. But they live in the same state. Where is it that you vote and it goes to somebody else and doesn't reflect on you, right? So where am I going with this? It's the fact of how important it is to understand where you're buying, right? I'm going to tell people, when you walk into a grocery store right now or any local place, Crescent Valley Meats, look at my sweatshirt. Crescent Valley Meats is the only last place USDA open to the public where you can bring your poultry and have it harvested there for either for sale or for yourself. There is no other USDA's facilities that are not open to the public. You have to have a contract.
So that's the state or the
state of California. You right now you can't go to any other USDA processing plant and have your poultry processed. Legally, you can process off your own land. You still have to be registered with the state of California, whether you're doing it, 10 or 50 or 5,000. Well, 5,000 you have to go under USDA. But 50, you still have to be registered with the state of California, okay? And you can legally sell that whole chicken off of your own land. But the moment you put a knife to it and you cut it, you have to go USDA, okay? You want to sell to a restaurant or a wholesale system, somebody that's going to take that chicken and go sell it to somebody else. Finished product. You have to have it go through a USDA, which is Crescent Valley Meats. We are the last poultry processor that is open to the public.
Yeah.
Yes, and why I say this. So you can go out and you can get a contract of 5,000 birds, right? Whoever, Purdue, Tyson's not doing it anymore. Okay, whoever it is. Then that poultry processing plant will only take those contracted systems, right? So this is what I'm saying. Again,
it went to a bigger scale.
Again, to understand that bigger scale, where are their headquarters? Their headquarters are based somewhere else.
Yeah, Midwest probably.
So guess what? Where's that Prop 12 coming from? It's not. And so most sadly, there's not very many commercial poultry production in California anymore because Prop 12 moved them out. Yeah, and now also just a bunch of other things moved them out. But there isn't hardly any more processing plants anymore, or people even raising at that scale, right? So now we have a lot of backyard producers, right? We have a bunch of smaller scale backyard people raising eggs or chicken for their own meat. I'm going to be honest with you. Remember I talked about this conversation about herbs and medicine. Like, I have to explain to people how important it is when you're harvesting your own to know timing, to know temperature, to know the full process of a chicken. Yes, I've harvested lots of chickens on my own, okay? That's why I appreciate my plant, Crescent Valley Meats, because I can take my chickens to my own plant and we have all the equipment, all the inspectors, all the temperature regulation met at one facility. Because I'm going to be honest with you, having the testing that is required that we have to do now, having the inspectors and the doctor there to be able to understand E. coli, salmonella, all these bird flu. Bird flu doesn't even, that chicken is even sick before it even gets off the trailer. The doctor will not let it even touch ground. Yeah. So understanding, how important that infrastructure is, right? That's why I'm there. That's why, yes, I love my chickens. I don't want to have to harvest them, but I'm a farmer, right? And that is where the value of life is so incredibly important to me, because if I am not valuing that life, taking care of every single part of that life, what is the purpose of that life? First and foremost, too, right? I have to have purpose in my life. My chickens have to have purpose in life. So there's going to be the egg layers. There's going to be those banties that I can't even put into a pen. I mean, they're so stinking cute. Yes, I have one jerk that does not like boys, and he goes and chases Clinton Cody. But he's so pretty. He's got a really beautiful tail, and he's a mixed breed.
You just let them lay, or what do they do?
Yeah. So, but also, too, I have my chickens, the bigger chickens for egg laying, right? And then I have, one rooster with 5 hens, right? And all my eggs are fertile. So Simon at Crescent Valley Meats also has a commercial incubator. I take him all of my fertile eggs, right?
Yeah.
And guess what?
Sell chicks?
No.
What?
I raise chicks.
Oh, that's what you've been holding on to.
Look at my surprise in my pocket.
Oh man, I didn't think it was going to be that close.
Yeah, these are 2 days old. Keep them gentle and warm. That's a little banty. Look at my
banty baby. I can hear it.
Crow. Are you going to crow? Look at. So this is a Brahma hen.
I made mine
chicken.
Go off for you.
So see my chickens. This is my life. They were hatched just a couple of days ago. He brought them from the incubator to me. I have a whole box of them in the back. Keep them warm. I tended to fall in love with these two already, so they went in my pocket. But at the same time, it's like...
Is that a chicken in your pocket?
It's a chicken in my pocket. Okay, see? I tell you guys all the time, you never know what you're going to cut. It hasn't pooped in my pocket yet. You better watch out. So that's one of my little Banty eggs.
Yeah, he's tiny compared to him. Look at that.
Look at that.
Size difference is tremendous.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? I can't tell. I think
this is what?
So that's a Brahma. No, that's a Brahma. So see the feather.
That's a big one then.
That's a big, and that's why I'm raising those.
Look at the size of his feet.
Yeah,
he's gonna grow now.
Because the thing about raising Brahmas is they have a broad breast, and then their body cavities are a lot bigger. They're not big layers. They don't lay as heavy.
So
These
better
guys,
for meat
Banties,
production.
their chicken eggs are only like about that big, but they lay consistently. They're always the first to lay. And they also are the ones that lay the longest too. People just got to get over the size of the egg, right? Because people will go, "Oh, what's wrong with it? How come the egg isn't very big? I need jumbo sized eggs." And I'm like, "Okay, do you understand that it takes an older chicken and it also has a lot of force-fed situations going on to be able to
cracking eggs, man."
Oh, don't be picky. You're gonna get a bunch of Banty eggs. But I wanted people
I'm just saying what people would say, like, why, do you need a bigger egg?
I wanted people to see, like, this is who I am. You can't get more free range, except they're in my pocket right now.
Free range person.
Free range, but also at the same time, I'm that person that does it full circle, so that I know how safe and high quality. Isn't it so cute?
Appreciating the process.
So cute. Say hi, Josh. See, I'm just a baby. I'm not mean yet, but when I get big, I should dress out about 5 to 6 pounds at harvest rate. So this, if we're lucky, we'll get maybe a pound. So this is chicken nugget. This is a chicken breast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So no, and yes, it's sad to think. It's sad to think that this life, right? What the purpose of it is. But I'm a meat eater. So why would I sit here and go, this life is different because I'm raising it and see it as a baby? Where I'm a farmer. I would rather eat meat that I know served a purpose of value, served a purpose of quality of life, than wondering what was on that styrofoam.
Well, that's not accountability we've been talking about for so long. We're omnivores, so most of us are having a very varied diet, like omnivores do. And when you let that process go further out, like you said, not only does it become worse for your health, it becomes worse for your wealth because you get so much oversight, or you get people putting things into the process that they shouldn't be. And so you're not even getting a better value. And I think that's something that's so pertinent, like I like to talk about, like that triple bottom line, having the economic, social, environmental balance, payoffs and profits balanced, because so much of it equals more than what meets the eye. And if people are going to complain about one end without knowing what the other end, is doing, it really just doesn't, give us a big, the big picture that we all need. And that's kind of where I feel our consumerism gets off, because, like we talked about cannabis, and my love for that one plant led to my love of all plants. And then I launched my whole career, my thing of saying, I'm going to protect and I'm going to grow all plants, and I'm going to not let people be prejudiced against plants because of how they were treating that. And I thought it was unfair. And it's the same thing with animals and food. And it's so funny, writing menus so much now and having vegetarians and other people come through, and I just start questioning it more. I'm like, wow, where is that coming from? Is it a social bottom line? Is it a environmental bottom line?
You're starting to have to work directly with food customers now. See, I told you. It's like,
but
crazy.
It's interesting how to, find a balance in that system, especially the harvesting of them, because, I'm a fisherman mostly, some hunting, so I really value what's growing around us, because I don't even have to put in, much of the process. We mostly do the harvest of the excess, and that's where native foods and wild foods really become great. It's so funny
to me because, like, in my life, I've always been this person. Yes, I was raised vegan vegetarian. I had a grandmother who was Adventist and is probably rolling over in her grave right now, knowing that her first granddaughter, is running a processing plant. You know what I mean? But her granddaughter was also that person that was, Nanny, if we're going to do this, we got to do it ourselves. If we're going to really demand of a certain quality, or demand, this health and well-being of what we're trying to live, why would we assume or expect somebody else to do it for us? That's where the difference of where I'm standing at today, right?
Yes. Or do it better. For our sake.
At the same time, it's crazy to me to sit there and go, I would want something and expect somebody else to do it, and then, or take life at any level, whether it be, just to go to the grocery store and buy life, right? To buy meat on a styrofoam tray. I don't understand how we got there, right? Like, how many people don't even realize there's 2 tri-tips to a whole cow? That's it. So when you go to Costco and you get your deal on tri-tips and you're like, oh my God, where did the rest of that meat go?
Well, hopefully it's right next to it in the New Yorks or the ribeyes. Or
grind, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully people understand, like you said, better the process. Then we would get better consumerism, because, and that's sake too. I remember my little adopted Italian grandma would talk about when they were a kid and, came over from New York in the 30s and grew up in Fresno in the Valley. But when everything was Whole Foods and everyone was producing, things. And so, she's like, that's why I'm so healthy, because we ate all this real food. But the school lunches even were produced by, mothers and grandmothers of the students. And it's like, who else would feed your kids, the best things but their, mothers and grandmothers? And so now that's been outsourced to who knows what in most school situations. I mean, I know I'm working with some of the school districts and did a school project this weekend in their garden, and they're putting stuff into there with like Whole Foods, Whole Fruits, salad bars.
The sad thing is now is just like what you're seeing at the restaurant, what I see at Nature's Touch. There's so much diversity when it comes to demands of food, right? Yeah. And it's from all the cultures we have here. But it's not even just based on basic health. It's based on marketed trends or a new fad or a new, desire to, maybe to lose weight, or, there are some genuine health
allergies
concerns like gluten-free, like the celiac people. I'm not, but there's this, now there's this new fad that you can't eat potatoes when you're using Ozempic, I think. Oh. That was a new one. I'm getting that one a lot.
Nightshades, or is it just potatoes?
No, it's potatoes. It's the starch, I guess, in potato. That's a new one I'm getting a lot. And I'm like,
and it messes up their skin or their what?
Well,
their
lucky me.
Gut, probably. I mean, I don't know.
Lucky me. I'm like, send to a customer, good customer, right? Since when can you not have potatoes? Like, are you okay? Like, what happened? And then when she's like, oh, Melanie, I'm just going to tell you. And she's like, I'm on, I'm trying to lose weight.
Which has become a huge.
And I looked at her, I'm like, you don't need to lose weight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, like I was like trying to, she said that whatever her weight loss injections are, she can't eat potatoes. That's a side effect. And it's like grapefruit with heart medicine. It's like, there's like all these
couple things that cross over for stuff like that.
And I'm like, there's so much, right? So for us, you and I, or like a school district, or, somebody that is making mass food for people, right?
Yeah.
You have, for
the whole public sector.
How do we, short order cook everything, clean our kitchen down? Because, like celiac people, if they eat, a flake of gluten, it could send them into horrible situations, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's so crazy to me how we're trying to centralize everything and demand of a certain thing, like Prop 12, it has to be a certain way. Food has to be a certain way now, and how we package it and label it, and what additives we're allowed to use and not put on the label, what additives we choose to use that we have to put on a label because it's not recognized by the FSIS. Like all of this stuff is going on, but yet society is driving us into this like, oh, is it gluten-free? Water is gluten-free. Really? Like, but, and I understand where people that have elements that are really particular about, but my thing is instead of going out into society and asking for somebody else to do it, why are we not focusing back in at home and doing more at home to fulfill it?
Well, right? Even like you're saying with my menu, and I've had, celiac partners and people in my life where I've had to deal with that so much. And so I'm a chef saying, how can I feed you? How can I take care of you so that you don't have to go through these stresses and issues? And so really, as I build my menus, it was kind of like where I had some the other day, what's gluten-free? I'm like, well, I only put like 2 or 3 things that were gluten, like a certain flatbread and a certain tortilla. But I was like, we have rice, we have potatoes, we have veg, we have, protein. We have all these things that are...
Those celiac customers, they need to know that the bread was not baked in your kitchen because, like what I get. And so this is
we're buying them from Rick's, and we're not doing a lot of things there where you get cross contamination.
I admire the luxury of all of us being able to go in and have food at a restaurant, or go and buy, at a farmer's market or whatever. But to understand these demands and the demands on these labeling is also what is coming in the conversation of where I'm going with this. Because just like I said, today's 420, cannabis. What happened to cannabis and all the taxation and all yes, I do believe that something needed to change, because we had a black market, and it was an example of, it was one side saying it should be legal, another side saying it wasn't legal. And in the middle, we had a black market that was using cannabis as the front to do other illegal
criminal
things.
activity.
Exactly.
No.
So, we brought it to the forefront. But the problem now has become is that government has outsourced the growers. I can tell you more people that are not in the business anymore than I can tell you that are still in the business.
Yeah, it's sort of like wine. They came up real quick and they flourished, but then it's down to just the big producers.
A little bit different in that, because wine...
Well, wine settled in better.
Yeah, there's, sadly, the really small, simple, really quality growers changed, right?
Yeah.
They're, aged out or changed, but then these bigger growers came, right? But now the wine industry is not necessarily all about wine. It's more about marketing water
hospitality,
marketing water use, and selling water futures on NASDAQ instead of actually selling the grape for wine, right? Right now it's all about planting and showing water use. That's what most grape growers are doing. They're not in the industry of making wine.
They're trying to keep their claims, to the resources.
But the sad thing is in that, what did it do to the industry? It killed the industry, because we had all this extra grapes that were never intended to go into a bottle. They were there to get cut off to show water use, right? So there's this imbalance and influx of allowance of what's really going on.
Abuse of the loopholes, that's where the regulations come from, but they usually lag so far behind the issues that, it's sort of like with criminals and cops, through one plays the other, wolves and elk. And with regulation and commerce, they're on the same scale. And so it's always, I just think, finding more balance. And how do we value balance instead of low price or high quality?
Yeah,
where are we in between?
Cracks me up, because it's like, how do you price things out? People don't even know what pricing really is. Like, well, like in a restaurant, you got to do a per plate. So it's like, how much olive oil did you put on there? Because, you're buying olive oil. Ice cream scoops.
Right? All the things that you're buying.
8-ounce scoop versus 5-ounce scoop versus,
just the product alone. Just if you're not standardizing things, are you losing money since you're not even able to cost your plate because you're not portioning properly? So there's so much that goes into those.
I will laugh
real costs.
And put it out there that, you do not get into raising poultry because you think you're going to save money. Let me just give a word of advice on that.
Because you love chicken.
Yeah, you have to do it because you love
chickens.
Well, and that's the thing, too. It's like I sit here and I ask, well, why is people not doing it for themselves?
We love to work outside,
right?
yeah.
And I agree. I can't expect somebody to love it like I do, because I truly,
it's a whole lifestyle.
It's a whole lifestyle, and if it's not for my chickens, it's for my cats hanging out with me in the garden this weekend, getting my emus,
and your horses,
and guess what?
And your cows.
Lemu is drumming. Lemu is drumming. Do you know what that means?
No,
or not Lemu, sorry. Doug is drumming. Do you know what that means? That means she's a girl.
Oh, interesting.
I had to wait a year and a half to wonder what she is, because I wasn't going to send the test out. But the other night we're going for a bike ride, and so I was going through the canyon where we live, and it's really quiet, right? And I'm like, "Did you hear that?" Clint and Cody goes, "Yeah, it's a neighbor drumming." I'm like, "No, that sounds like that's it." No, they have it.
It's in their chest. Okay.
Yeah, they sit up and they drum. Females drum. Okay, boys grunt. And it's funny because Lemu, my boy, Lemu, I can call him a boy now. He grunts at me now. All of a sudden, like night and day, he grunts at me. And what is he doing? When I get in between Dougie and Lemu, he grunts at me like I got to get away from his girl. She won't grunt, but I'll be honest with you. I heard it at a distance. I didn't hear it with her. And I go and hug her and I love on it. Yes, my emus don't know they're emus. They think that, and then where
they're people too.
Their pen. So I have a terrace, right? So their pen is on the lower terrace. And then above the terrace, right, is a huge strawberry patch. And then I have alpine strawberries, which are little baby strawberries.
good.
They're like heaven on earth right now. But then I have all my like sequoias and albions and all those down below. I have like 1,000 strawberry plants, right?
Nice.
So, you know me, I'm in there early morning before the sun rises, and, you know, Dougie's grunting, you know, and I'm like laughing because I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm trying to get her to drum because I want to make sure that's what I heard, because I heard it at a distance. And so I'm like, oh my God, that means she's a girl. That is like so exciting. I'm going to get eggs, right? Like so exciting. But so I'm in there picking strawberries, and how badly I want to like get her excited and to be able to do it. Nope. She's just waiting for her handouts. That's all she did. Those emus knew to come right to the end of the pen. And as I'm pulling weeds and like going through my strawberries and making sure that the weeds aren't competing, I'm picking and eating, and I'm picking and I'm throwing them in the back, you know, as they're catching them. And I'm laughing because
they're ready for it.
and they're like, he's all excited. So I'm so excited to be able to think that I have a boy and a girl. Like, what are the luck? What are the odds of that? That's pretty rare because
so you have a mating pair then.
Yes. And so I'm gonna have even more babies because that's even like. And have you ever seen it?
Emu's back on the menu, boys.
I gotta.
I've had emu a few times.
You have?
We talked about that only through these Cal Poly barbecues. So they have these big department barbecues, and they literally, I think it was on the table with the tri-tip, and you couldn't tell them apart. Yeah. You know, right away. So it's a really red meat.
Emu and ostrich is a red meat.
Yeah. It cooks up really
under
similar.
USDA, it's considered in Ray, Crescent Valley Meats, has that permit too. Dougie and Lemu will never go to Crescent Valley Meats. See, that's also who I am. Okay, I gotta get.
They'll be the grandparents.
I gotta get numbers built up so I can give them purpose.
Yeah.
Dougie and Lemu's purpose is to solely in my entertainment and my love.
Carry on
and eat
the
rotten
lineage.
strawberries that I didn't eat, right? And eat rotten blueberries that I harvested that they didn't, you know.
They're pretty lean though.
Oh, they're super lean. So emu and ostrich, ostrich for sure has a silver skin, right? And so you have to know how to properly cut those off and clean it off. But
butchering's crazy for those animals.
Donkey Hill Farm, it's in Lockwood. That's where they have ostrich, and they sell ostrich meat. And my family love it. I'm not that person. I would rather go without than try something. I have plenty of other
ostrich burger. What are you guys doing a lot?
Well, they did the tenderloin. They've done burger.
Okay.
They like it. They like to get the like the flap meat.
Yeah.
And strip
tacos.
it, make carne asada.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
My family swear
nice
that there's nothing different in the flavor. You know, I still look at
beef.
Yeah. I'm not that person. I'm too visual and I'm too texture-y person, so I will tend to not eat it. But you know why? Because I have that choice because I'm American and I'm not hungry enough. If I'm hungry, I'm gonna probably eat it, right?
Said.
You know, so I don't have to be you know, eating ostrich if I don't want to.
Yeah.
But also too, how important it is to know like what we can raise here. To think an ostrich is native to Africa.
Yeah.
Right? Emus are native to Australia. And I love, if anybody ever wants to read a really cool, funny story, how Australia lost the war to emu.
Yeah.
It is, you got to read the story. It's pretty out. Cody and I read it, and it's like,
I swear I heard it again after last time we talked, too. I've heard it a couple of times recently.
It's true, though. Like, you understand.
A war versus an army.
So the Australians were trying to grow commodity wheat.
After the war, they were trying to farm, so all the soldiers became farmers again.
And the emu overpopulated and won. So the farmers still cannot grow.
They beat them with tanks and bombs. Like,
everything.
They literally could not shoot these animals down.
Nope.
They couldn't, no warfare would stop these guys.
How about this? When she got out of her pen and she got really excited, she did Mach 30 miles an hour from 0 to hero down the driveway. And I did panic a minute, right? I went, oh, how am I going to get her back, right? And I'm like, seriously, where are you going? She stopped and looked around. I don't want to go there. Came back, and I was like, woo, I got lucky she loves me.
They're nothing but legs and neck.
Oh, my God. And to see them jump. I mean, I can see how the Australians lost to them, okay? Like, that's, and I have to tell you, they did get out one time when I was in Wisconsin at the farm conference. And I have to tell you, I have awesome neighbors because they were on neighbor's property. Ended up calling me, went over and picked them up. But all my other neighbors on the other side, were still calling me after I got them home that they were bummed because they were hoping that they were going to get a visit.
They were the ones.
Get a visit from the neighborhood emus, So I laughed. I'm very fortunate enough to have those kind of neighbors and have those kind of animals, and people are not afraid. They just want to come over and visit. I think people are more terrified of my dogs than they are of my emus. So, understanding again. See, look at that picture.
There's one right there.
Look at it. Can you see it? That's a cover
It's
on
official.
my.
She loves emus.
That's Dougie. That was like 4 months ago. So that's I wasn't knowing she was a
Miss
female at that
Dougie,
time.
yeah.
So Miss Dougie. And you kind of name them before you know what they are. So kind of like our chickens,
Glacciana,
right?
I agree with that.
I hope, because of how much I love this little Banty, I don't need another Banty rooster. Really, I don't. So let's hope it's a female, but it's going to be based on temperature. Where the temperature when where the chicken laid the egg, right? It's also going to be how many roosters do I have to hens. That's a huge part, and I'm going to be honest with you. Probably this year is going to be a lot of roosters because I have a lot of roosters. Because I was collecting instead of being a smart farmer, and the only reason is because they were all so pretty. I couldn't make a decision. And then again with these Brahmas, I have 2 roosters to 5 hens right now, and so I hope that the egg production becomes more hens, but at the same time, if I have roosters in these, I have purpose for them, and so Yep, that's what they're raised for. But I'll be honest with you, if I put the Brahmas in the yard to aerate underneath my herb garden and under my fruit trees, I wouldn't have anything left. Because the size of these guys, and I mean, even just my standard birds, I have to keep them on the other side of the farm. They're all in open areas. They have chicken tractors.
Yeah.
But
you got to run certain animals through. It's like, even in orchards, you'd run like pigs through, and then maybe the next years you could run cows through, and you can move your canopies up.
Well, how about this? We're in tree land, riverland, and wetland. So we get about every 4 years, we'll get a tick population, right? My father-in-law had Lyme disease from a tick that he got bit by on our property. So ticks are terrifying to me. Yes, I have a company called Rincon Vitova, my insectary company, that sends me out predatory nematodes that I plant in the soil that help get rid of ticks. But there's years that even planting and doing healthy soil, I get out of balance, right? Mm-hmm. So what do? I up my guinea fowl numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And let them
free range it.
And again, I feel sorry for my neighbors because, yes, they might be a couple miles down the road, but going through a canyon, I love coming home when I know they're out. They're so loud. They are so loud. And now, too, I'm raising my numbers a little higher because we have a market where I can harvest some of the roosters, and there's people that want whole guinea fowl. That's their cuisine.
That's Australian, That's really what
eating guinea
even the Aborigine would eat.
Mm-hmm. And they're beautiful. The meat is actually really good.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So I'm raising more of
darker
those.
Darker like goose or something.
Yeah, like darker turkey. It's all dark turkey meat.
Yeah.
That's what and the texture reminds me of a turkey.
Because duck's even dark like that.
Yeah,
too.
and I'll be honest with you. You can't think of it being a plump, juicy, turkey broad-breasted, right? Yeah. You got to think of like a heritage turkey because... Yeah. Guineas run. They're like emus, man.
They're lean too.
It's like, where'd you go? It's like they're
they're
constant.
Big, crazy, cool
But
birds.
the way that they scratch and the way that they take dirt baths, they get the tick larvae and flea larvae out of the soil. So again, but it's not just having them out there; it's farming them. It's balancing it. Not having just all of that. And
we just got like stacking functions, and permaculture is like, how do you make something more cost effective?
Yep.
Well, get more use out of it. Like gray water, you use the water once down your drain, and then you use it again, in the orchard.
Planting.
Or same thing with the animals. They can do one job while they're there, and that's their part of their value and your purpose, right? And then we all kind of have a circular life, and that's sort of where I think people calling it now circular economies and ways to be putting the money back around, and that's kind of what we're talking about. But I think food is the place where it, like you said, just gets so taken for granted because there's just grocery stores full of it. Mm-hmm. In places.
Same
I loved
things.
Teaching kids, especially it was like kind of urban ecology stuff where you're like, where does meat come from? And it's like when they don't have processes close to home, people are farther and further removed from it. And so it is really great to know what you might like better than something else too, because if we're just eating like cow, pig, and chicken, then it really puts a strain. Look at the whole world. I mean, it's just such a global market right now for beef. I mean, I can't even open that can of worms right now. But from here to Argentina to Brazil to everywhere that's happening,
beef is good. Beef is what's for dinner.
Well, we got beef here that's a heritage. Like, we've been grazing our hills with beef for a long time. So we have great ways to have beef in our, community.
But where did that beef go? It all leaves us. It does, most of that beef doesn't stay here.
Yeah, I mean, there's local producers, and if you're going to buy locally, you can. But, I mean...
Not much.
I think it's come up a handful over the years, it seems like. But
when you only have 2 processors that can do it, there's not very much. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and I'm telling you, a majority of those cattle go to a bigger market, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, yes,
I'm just saying we can do it.
We can do
here,
it, yes. And we are. There is a huge stamp that we are doing it, but not to the extent of the population that we do have.
Not to the consumption.
Right? When I talk to other ranchers and I say, "Don't you eat your own meat?" And they said, "Well, no.
I want to sell it."
I'm like, "Why
not getting high on my own supply, bro.
Why wouldn't you feed yourself?" Well, my wife gets it at Costco. You're going to raise that beautiful of an animal, and you're going to ship that away, and you're going to eat.
No, you got to feed yourself first,
like,
for sure.
This isn't working here. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
what
a funny
happened
one.
to us farmers, and remembering that we have to feed ourselves first.
Yeah.
Although
I mean, one beef's going to feed a family for a while,
right? But also, I mean, at the same time, I am that person when I'm, my kids, when the chickens start laying, and when they haven't laid all winter and everybody wants an egg, I'm like, don't touch them. Those are like diamonds. You cannot eat an egg. But
We're selling those.
Now I'm like, guys, we have too many eggs. You need to eat more eggs. Mom, I can't eat any more eggs. Like, that's it. It's funny because, that's the life of a farmer, right? But it's a life as to be able to understand the,
it's a seasonal life that we all should be living
and
more.
we can talk like this because of where we live, too. Like, people, you can have a yard and be able to raise something to supplement your food.
Yeah, every inch of this place is really beautiful and productive. This climate is just such an easy climate to grow in.
Nothing we can't grow. Look at what I'm talking about.
Mediterranean climates.
Emus. Our good friends have ostriches. I have beef. Cody just got us the new electrical fencing. Okay, I'm just get a visual. Okay, I raised
sheep or what are you raising?
Dexter Longhorn cattle.
Okay.
They're black and whites. They're so beautiful. Okay. I want horns, so most Dexters now don't have horns anymore. So I crossbred with Longhorn, so now I have horns. Okay. So the funny thing about this is 8-strand barbed wire, welded fencing. Okay. Can't keep them in.
Dang, yeah.
My cows are the reason the children's story, the cows jump over the moon. They cleared it. Okay. Cody, Mom, we got to try this electric mesh fencing. I'm like, for cattle, honey?
I know, it's usually for smaller animals.
Yeah, and he's like, Mom, there's been people that I admire that have gotten it to work. And I'm like, all right, I will invest in it. Try it. It has been 3 weeks, Josh, and not a single cow has gotten out. I am now getting to free range
big babies.
my cows all throughout our property, like so much easier than I've. I can't
that'd be
believe,
the rotation days. Roping those is where it's at.
I cannot believe though that 8-strand, tight, ding, kind of barbed wire could not keep them in. But this electrical fencing, that's
one little shock, and
solar panel. It's got a big panel. It's got a big battery, right? But I'll be honest,
a little touch on the nose is all it takes, and then they don't like it anymore.
And now you see them, they just smell. They smell at a distance. They're like, oh, it's on, world. So God forbid if it doesn't stay on.
Yeah, true that.
But at the same time, I have to tell you, you should see the understories now, where now I can move it faster, right?
Yeah, that's what people are really recognizing.
Yes.
Your duration times, and now you can use it for taking care of the hills again and taking.
Yes, I don't have to keep them in these permanent fenced areas.
That's
right?
what overgrazing really. If you weren't cautious, now that you can cross, fence and move the animals around. And
most of mine are haltered, so I did move them around, right? And I tethered them in different areas. But now I can actually keep them in an area that I couldn't do.
Want. Yeah.
Yes,
really quick.
And make sure to protect that area that has the Salvia spatacea.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them touching that.
Yeah, you
don't
want them
want
trampling
seed
certain
from
parts.
that.
Yeah.
Or how about on the other side where the woolly blues are growing? And I'm like, you're not touching that, mama cows. So. you know, they know. I'm like, but the poison oak, go for it.
That's
if you eradicate it, I'm going to be the happiest person. So yes, I'm lucky this morning I did not wake up and have my eyes swollen shut and be covered because we did move fence yesterday. And I'm like, Cody, I'm in the poison oak. He's like, Mom, don't dish up shower, go. And I'm like, because we were like head to toe in poison oak. So I'm excited because I mean, look at, it's the youth that's teaching us this difference. And I did not think, and all the investment and fencing that we did, that fence would work as good as it does. Like, I am so excited because it wasn't anywhere near the cost of what we spent for the barbed wire and the pipe, you know, and all that to be able to get it strong enough so that they wouldn't get out, but they jumped it. You know?
Yeah,
so,
that's really awesome. You're having success with that because I have seen that come up more and more and people talking it out. But to hear that on the ground, you know, you really have that because now the hills can come back and be green, and now you're not going to be putting any feed out.
We need to contact that company, and they need to be a sponsor of my show because I will be their biggest spokesperson because all my neighbors laughed at me and told me it was not going to work because where we live, no animal stays in a pen. Like that's all my neighbors. We all joke around because they all do roundups and they brand. I don't brand. Mine are black and whites. They all know, oh, those are Melanie's, you know, kind of thing. And it is the funniest thing because I'm like, you know, every season I get the phone call. Melanie, yes. Do you have a black cow with that brand? Yes, it's over here. And then they're like, Melanie, I got a black and white. Got to come get it. You know, like, you know, I laugh because that's what I'm saying. We've all spent big money on fencing and we still, and I'm like, I'm 3 weeks, nothing. And this is the time where they tend to get out, right? So cross your fingers. I will give the name after the show because I'm going to let people know. If you guys want to know, reach out to me and I will.
Well, even for the sheep and the goats, you know, friends moving those herds around so much. I mean, everyone's using them for a lot of animals.
Good segue. naturesneighborpodcast.com is live. If they can submit questions, if they want to be sponsors, they can go to the contact form and I'll get it. And we can
yes,
that's right. We're talking to you.
We put it out there, and you know, Miguel's taking on the task of scheduling, and but also it's bigger than just scheduling because people that want to come on the show want different types of production for what they're doing. There's things they ask me, I have no idea. That's why we have Miguel. And so I'm honored to be able to share and work with him to be able to help him facilitate the needs of what these people that should come on and we have a really fun conversation. But contact Miguel. He'll be able to, you know, put your logo up, be able to create whatever you need to
make
create.
The experience of what, you know, sharing this information
I'll ask
the
about, questions and we'll have this fun conversation. We will share this platform because we've built it, right? Yeah. Let's share the platform. But when it comes down to doing the production part of it, that's all Miguel, you know? And it's Nature's Neighbor.
naturesneighborpodcast.com.
Nature's Neighbor Podcast.com.
That's what we're doing right now.
There it is. So check us out, you know, be a part of our conversation, but also just be a part of this whole, like, let's build resilience. Let's do this all together.
I know. It just made me think of, like, you know, really how we can have maybe real specific, you know, kind of targets to help people kind of keep taking these steps, and people could reach out with those questions and issues where, you know, we've had a lot of experience that we've amassed in our old age, and we're even just in the middle of it. So we have, you know, that generations really need to keep working together. Like you said, the young, you know, to the old, really helping to push our boundaries of where we're going. Because I think that nowadays people feel maybe more helpless, or the scale of things has gotten so big.
How about me? Overwhelmed and feel like, you know,
drowning in paperwork at least. But, you know, I think we can
vulnerable
do a lot for each other.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it's at. And I think that was the whole reason we really, you know, kind of started to use our hot air for good here, hopefully, is, you know, to share as much as we can. And I think starting from the ground up is where our economy and our culture, you know, and our country, everything we're doing will really, you know, have the most, you know, resilience and kind of response to, you know, what we want and what we don't want. And that's kind of what I meant with my menu, is like, I want people to come in to eat and tell me what you do want. Don't tell me what you don't want. Like, oh, I don't want, you know, stuff. It's like, that's great. Look at this menu. Everything's broken down. And like, people come in and they're like, what's for kids? I'm like, we have meat, rice, fruit, bread. I was like, what more do
I'm
you?
sorry, I don't understand that because why?
What else are you feeding your kid?
Why doesn't your child
Veggies?
eat the same thing you eat?
Yeah, right. And so it was really funny because I was just like, everything's on the menu.
Miguel,
so I had to arrange
why
it
doesn't your child
to
eat
where
what
people
you
could
eat?
find it.
Okay, good, even better. Oh yeah, does your kids eat vegetables?
No.
Oh my God, we gotta.
We got to
break
eat
that.
salsa. We got to work on
We gotta
that.
break that. All right. Well, it's on the dot, Miguel. 6:00, guys. Reach out. Nature's Neighbor podcast.com, and you will reach Miguel. But you can reach us like you always do on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and guess
Spotify,
what?
yeah.
And TikTok. And we're hopefully by next week we'll have a live TikTok feed.
Ta-da.
So we are excited. We're growing. Things are changing, but always reach out, be a part. Have a beautiful week. We're on to the next week. Will be the last week of April.
Yeah.
It's happening so
April
fast.
showers bring
I
these
know,
May
it's
flowers. I'm
supposed to
looking
rain
forward to
tomorrow,
that.
and it's starting to look like it's
Yeah.
actually going to do something.
Yeah.
So
Happy spring.
Happy. If you guys
Happy
if you want
chicken
baby
day.
chickies, reach out, okay? Because I
Don't
got
forget.
I have a ton of them.
Eggs,
eggs,
meat,
meat,
entertainment,
babies.
less bugs.
You want to meet?
I mean, come on.
You want to meet Doug and Lemieux? Reach out.
Yeah.
I might have to bring them to town and a horse trailer.
There we go.
Yeah, I
Next
might have
show.
to. All right,
Cheers.
take care. Hi, babies. Want to go get it?